educate people on how to be healthy through food, how to heal themselves with food. And my favorite part of doing all that is teaching the young ones how to be healthy through food. Now, I would like to let you guys know that Julie will not be with us for the rest of the season. She's decided to pursue other projects, and we wish her well on her new journey. With that being said, we have a great Now, just so you guys know, I'm getting over a cold. I sound funny. I know. I don't want any messages. I am doing well. Thank you for that. All right. Our guest today is Kimberly Prada. She is the owner of Tribe Bites, and I'm going to welcome her in right now. Hi, Kim. How are you?
Hey, everybody. How are you?
I just want to tell everybody about your amazing product. I met Kim a few years ago and I tried her cute little bites. They're so good. So you want to tell everyone, I always ask my guests to tell everyone a little bit about them and what they do in their own words.
Okay. So my name is Kim Prada, also Kimberly Prada. I am 25 years old. I am also a mother to my daughter, who is 5 years old. And I've been in business for 4 years now. I actually went from being a stay-at-home mom to a single mom. So it's just a crazy, crazy journey. But I actually had no background in business or entrepreneurship. So I definitely am self-taught. And 4 years ago, this was in 2020 when I started the business. Did you want me to go more into like the details of everything?
We'll get to that, but you can just share whatever you'd like to share about yourself, your hobbies, your dreams, whatever you want to tell people about what you do.
Yeah, I mean, with my product, so I make naturally sourced protein bites. When I say naturally, we use nut butters instead of redefined protein powders. And then they are all gluten free, and we also offer vegan options. As far as hobbies, when I'm not rolling bites constantly or delivering orders, I love to go hiking. I love to play pool. I'm a huge pool table girl. And I also just love to spend like any free time with my daughter. She loves going outside, so we are definitely outdoorsy people as well. And I am a foodie, so I love food. I love discovering different restaurants, places to eat, different coffee shops, kind of like that vibe.
So you're a mom. Now, how old is your daughter? She's still pretty young, right?
Yeah, she's 5.
Yeah, I've seen her a few times. She's adorable.
Thank
And so what made you go from a stay-at-home mom to wanting to build a business? Like that's kind of like 0 to 120 all at once.
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't my choice. It was more like circumstantial, but also it was an opportunity that just fell on my lap, and I felt like I needed to just take the opportunity and run with it and kind of see what was on the other side of that. So, I was with my daughter's father for 4 years. We had like a pretty established like household, but then we decided that it wasn't going to work out anymore. We did get together young and we ended up just being different people, and that kind of happens
Mhm.
sometimes. And so, with being a stay at home mom, like I depended on him for everything, like finances, the car, the house, everything. And then when we decided to split up, I ended up moving back with my mom, which was such a humbling experience because I moved out at 18. As soon as I graduated high school, I just left, and I didn't go to college. So I just kind of worked like right in the restaurant industry. I always was a server. And I also did a little bit of, I was a paraprofessional for about 2 years. And then when I moved back in with my mom, I had nothing. I had no car, no job, no place really to stay. I stayed there for a little bit and just really no security. I just had me and my daughter, and that was in 2020. So there was a stimulus check that had came out in 2020, which was in, I think it was around April, March, around that time frame. And
Yeah, I think it was near tax season, sort of.
yeah. And I was already making the power bites for myself back when I had lived with my daughter's father. I just made it as like a healthier snacking alternative because if anyone knows, like when you become a mom, there's no sleep. In the beginning, you have no sleep. You're always on the go. The kid is always hungry. Like, and honestly, that was probably one of the most unhealthiest times of just myself, because I would just eat anything that was kind of in sight or convenient. So I would just eat like chips, or like I would drink a soda, or like anything that was really quick. And that would kind of just keep my like sugar rushed so that I had energy in a sense. And but then the crash was really bad, and I ended up gaining like so much weight and stuff. And it was just a really hard adjustment to being like not a mom to a mom, and no one really talks about these things. So that's like a whole different story. And so when I moved in with my mom, she was like kind of motivating me, like, hey, I think that you should start a business with your bites because they're really good. I ended up donating some to her church for this bake sale that had going on, and I donated some to her job. And for me, it's just so funny because I told my mom, which I do apologize all the time, and I'm like, I told her, I was like, Mom, I need a real job. Like, this is not going to be a real job. And she's like, oh, well, you just never know and stuff. And I have a Christian background, so we are religious. And she's just always like, no, like God's going to provide and this, and that. And I just didn't believe it at the time because it was just such a lower, dark time that I didn't see anything positive coming out of anything. And then the stimulus check came, and she's like, I think that this is an opportunity for you to pursue licensing with your product, and then if it didn't work out, then try something else. And I had already been interviewed probably like 15 times in 2020, and I was not getting any job. Like, no one was really doing great with jobs during that time. So I kind of just saw it as like an end result, and I was like, I'm gonna just reinvent myself and invest this money into getting the food licensing, getting the products, the branding, like everything. And I didn't know anything. I just like YouTubed a lot of things. I Googled a lot of things during that time. I didn't know anything. And I honestly didn't know really much business owners during that time. I didn't really know anybody because I was always taught to just either go to school or to do a trade or work somewhere else for somebody else, but not for myself. So this was really new to me, even though it was 2020. Like, I'm sure businesses have been around for a long time, but it's kind of just my upbringing and like my generation and stuff. So yeah, it was just such an insane journey. And then at the end of 2020, I ended up getting my own place, my own car, and Tribe has been my full-time job for 4 years now, which is crazy.
I have to laugh because, you know, people call it YouTube University for a
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, I almost said that.
There are some things there that you may never want to watch because I do not advocate for some of the like stunts with food that they advocate.
Yeah.
Or in fact, please do not do that at home. That is a full warning to people. But there are helpful things out there, and just because you went to school for something or it doesn't mean that you can't be a business owner.
Right.
I find it interesting that the way you figured it out is doing that. But honestly, most business owners, I went to school for business and I'm still figuring it out as I go. And every day is a new journey after 10 years.
Yeah, no, when I look back, and this is more of like a personal thing. So I've always had like lower self-esteem when it came to just trying out anything. I was just always afraid since I was a kid. So I never really had the confidence that I was good at something. And then when I stepped into the business field and the entrepreneurship field, I was like, wow, like I think I've actually found my passion. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be specifically this business, but my passion is just with people and like connecting with people and sharing like my story and referring to people, and also seeing people consume my product and like it, and ask for more of it, which is insane because I just never believed that I could do something. And then when I did, I was just like, wow, like I do have the power to impact people, even if it's through like a good product, but also through my story and my journey. And that's kind of where the name Tribe came in, which is insane because I I never really felt like I had a sense of community around me. Like my mom, she was a single mom of four, and I'm the youngest, and we really grew up in just a really hard time. We always were lowest of class until I graduated high school, and then we stood in middle class and stuff. And my mom really, really worked hard to even provide anything. But I felt like I needed more outside of just like my immediate family home. And I was like, I really want community, and I long for this. And then I didn't have a name for the business. I just was selling like the product. And then I was like, I need a name that's going to stick out to me that is more than just the name. And the name Tribe came to me, and I was like, Tribe Power Bites, like Tribe, because everyone that supported me during that time in 2020, they were strangers. A lot of them weren't even my friends. I didn't even know who they were. I was doing online shipping during that time. So it was just really all over the US type of thing. And I was like, wow, like you guys are giving me a sense of community and like a tribe atmosphere. So I'm going to name the business after you guys because I want to give back to those that gave back to me. And so it's been Tribe Power Bites.
2020, like, I think that was the only way to connect. Like,
Yeah.
I learned to connect with people virtually. My friends, my family, we couldn't be together in any way. So it's almost like you took that online community that you made and took it into the real world here.
Yeah. It was pretty cool to see that unfold because even then, like around I think 2021, maybe, yeah, 2021, 2022, that's when people started coming out more. Like even though we were masked at times, I met a lot of people for the first time from online, from shopping in person, and it was just like crazy. Like I saw everybody like at events. That's when I really did events, like in 2022. 2021 I couldn't do anything because we still were like that and there wasn't much going on. But 2022 I kind of like went off with events. Like I said yes to every single event, every speaking, anything, because I wanted to get my name out there, but I really wanted to see and meet those that I've been waiting to meet. Because if I didn't receive that support during that time, I don't know what I would have done. Honestly, I think that I would have been still struggling and longing like for some sort of purpose, but I feel like everything does truly happen for a reason. And I find complete joy in being a business owner and an entrepreneur. Like I've never felt such purpose in life than doing that. I've had many, many jobs, I've had many opportunities, but nothing compares to this. And I've had full time jobs with benefits and everything, but I kind of gave that all up just to do this. And even though I have to work twice as hard, I still get to live life on my own terms. And I also didn't want to miss anything in my daughter's life. Like, and I haven't, because growing up, my mom, she couldn't really be there for us. Like my siblings kind of raised me in a way because she was always working. And now that I get to have my own child, I was like, I want a job that's going to be flexible, that if she needs me to be there, then I can be there for her. And it's nice because she comes to work with me. Like it's just crazy. She comes to work with me and I see her getting like more fulfillment because now I'm showing her the business world, the entrepreneurial world, and she likes to talk to people and sell the product. And it's pretty cool to see because she's watching her mom, and I want her to also know like, hey, you can choose going to school, you can choose a corporate job, but you also can choose this, and I wouldn't look at you differently. Because I feel like for the longest time, if you didn't have a corporate job or like you weren't having a really good job, then you were kind of frowned upon, at least for me and my experience. Because when I graduated high school, everybody was like, I'm going to college. Like, are you going to college? And I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I truly didn't know what I wanted to do. And year two came of graduating, and I was just like, I'm still not in college. I don't know what to do. And then 2020 happened, and I was like, now I truly believe that I found what I want to do, and that's pursuing business and entrepreneurship.
You know, it's funny is that we all don't know. I mean, I went to college sort of knowing what I wanted to do, but then I changed my major. Then I got sick, and like, I actually don't talk about this very often, but I left school before I could finish. And I went back and got my degree when I was 28, is when I finished my 4-year degree. I don't really tell people that. I don't really talk about it. I did it for me and not anyone else. And that's something that's important to me, that if you want a degree, you go and you do it for yourself and not other people. And I feel like you, that if you want to know about something, you want to learn about something, it's something you're going to do. You need to be pushed to do that. It's better than the kids that are forced to be in school because their parents say they have to.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I I'm thankful that my mom, she never really, she said that she would be happy if I went to school, but also she would be happy if I got a high school diploma because she was the first to get a high school diploma in her family. And
Oh, wow.
so that was, so the bar was already like low enough. So, and not that it was low, because for them, like my family and her family, that's a big accomplishment, right? And but for me, she was like, if you can do high school, that's great, but I won't be mad if you don't do college. I just want you to be successful. And she said that for all of us. She was like, I just want my kids to be successful and not miserable, because she got her high school diploma, and then she was a stay-at-home mom. She was married to my dad for 12 years, but then they split. And then I kind of found myself in the same predicament when I saw that with me and my daughter's father. But I was telling myself it doesn't have to be the same story. Like, I can rewrite it. And it is a great rewritten story, because me and her dad, we co-parent great. We actually work way better separately than when we did together. And it's like ironic, but it works. And so it's just always being at least 1% better a day. And I think that that is super essential, because you can rewrite your story, and your upbringing doesn't have to define you, or whatever it is that you're doing with your life or your education. But I do agree with school. Like, if you want to go to school, do it, but don't do it for other people, or that pressure that people are expecting you to be something that you're actually not, or don't even know what you are. Because honestly, at 18, 17, when I graduated, I still didn't know who I was. And now that I'm 25, I'm like, oh, maybe I would pursue college now, but not like back
Yeah.
then.
But the thing is now you want it, and now you know what you would want to do. It's so funny that like the world thinks at 18 we should know what we want to do with our lives for the rest of our lives. It's like, I don't really think anybody does. I mean, unless there's those people that are so driven that want to be like doctors, lawyers, things
Right.
like that. Like, I'm not sure that the whole world actually knows what they want to be at 18.
No, definitely not. I still don't even know what I want to do. Like, I don't even know. It's like a different journey every day, because now like, I'm still pursuing tribe, but then I also started pursuing real estate school. And I think that I want to have different tools under my belt. And if I decide to change my mind, I can do that. Sometimes I used to feel stuck with just one path. And I'm like, oh man, like, this is what I have to do forever, because that's kind of what's implanted in while you're in school, or like your upbringing.
Mm.
And now I found it just more fulfilling for me to just be like, just good at certain things in different areas of like my life. And if I can refer someone for real estate, refer someone for entrepreneurship, like, it's just really important to have different talents under your belt instead of just having one. And I think it's more beneficial. And in the long run, even if I can pick up this tool and then put it back down, I have this other tool behind me that I've done for a while. So I think it's pretty cool. Now that I'm like I'm discovering so many things, and I still don't feel like I'm finished. And I like to say, like, I'm kind of in this rebirth journey in a sense, because for a long time my brain was more on like autopilot and like living for other people. And now I'm like, no, like, I'm gonna take control of my life, because I'm responsible for my life. And it's been really beautiful too, and like empowering, actually.
I mean, you're 25. You're just getting started. It's not like, you know.
I feel older than 25. I just started like younger. So I'm like, I feel like sometimes I should be more ahead. But honestly, that's just my own like insecurities kind of haunting me sometimes, because then other people, how we perceive ourselves, other people perceive us differently, because other people will tell me, oh, you're doing great. And then I'm like, I am. And it's just like, I guess at
Yeah.
25, but I feel different, because I'm like, but I'm a whole parent. Like, I need to like have things ready. But then I also remind myself, Kim, is this what you would want for Mia, like my daughter Mia? And I wouldn't want her to feel pressured either. So I also have to walk with what I also preach and instill that in her, instead of like kind of doing that to myself, self-sabotaging.
It's funny. Like every time somebody is like, you're so inspiring, your story's so inspiring, or you're a role model to kids or something, I sit there and I look at them, I'm like, are you sure about that? Like,
Yeah.
somebody told me that the other day, and I'm like, you're talking about me, right? Like, Like, I'm just trying to
You, yeah,
survive. Like,
it's
I'm
you.
just trying to get through the day. I'm like, thank you. Um, like it's my story. I guess I never thought me talking about my health, talking about what I've been through would inspire other people. But you talking about what you've been through and how you've gotten where you are helps other people maybe see a path forward or something that they can't do that they might be able to do again. And it's just kind of a weird feeling when people tell you that because you're so in it, you don't see how it affects other people.
Right.
How does your daughter see all this? Like I've seen her at events and like talking to people and like running around helping you do stuff. So how does she like feel like, you're doing this and like I can honestly say I either see your name on events I've been invited to or done. Like you're literally say yes to almost everything, Kim.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I don't know how you do that. Like this is where my old ass cannot do all that stuff anymore.
You're not even old. You're not
Oh,
old.
honey, I turned 40 this year. I am getting old.
You look great. You look great.
Thank you.
No, my daughter, it's so cool to see because I started it 4 years ago. So she was one, and each year, like it got more rewarding for me because I used to take her like to events and stuff, but carrying a baby, that was really hard. Having a toddler run around, that was really hard. And then now that she can actually grasp the concept and hear her vocalizing it to me, I think that's actually the craziest thing is because we have conversations now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm talking to you. And she remembers things from even years ago. And she's like, oh, I remember doing an event here when I was younger. And I was like, what? Like, I can't even believe that. And even her wanting to be involved with making the product, helping me purchase like supplies, like being involved in that way, that's awesome because if anything, she could be like, oh, I'm not really interested. Like that's mom and her job and stuff, right? But seeing her have that desire or that hunger to even be a part of everything, that's great. Like we have an event tomorrow. And even she remembers like my schedule, which is crazy because I was like, yeah, we have an event on Saturday, but I told her that on Monday. And she's like, are we still going to the event tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, we are. And I was like, are you going to help me? And she's like, yeah. So seeing that just really makes my heart bigger because I also want to inspire other moms. And it doesn't necessarily have to be moms, but also other women, women of color, because I'm Hispanic. And it doesn't even have to be that, but even men or just anybody, younger people, like I'm also younger. So when they see that and they ask me questions or they see me and her side by side, or if it's just me, I just want to inspire other people, specifically single moms, because it really is possible. And even if you don't really see a way out, because I didn't see a way out for a long time, I didn't think that this would be like a long-term thing. But sometimes in life too, like at least for me, I'm on this journey of living minimalistically. Like I don't need everything. I don't need the fancy car, the fancy clothes, anything. I just really want the necessities and like to travel, like things that I can do with my daughter and also to grow the business to have it sustainable because not only am I doing the events, I'm doing the partnerships. So I have like wholesalers who wholesale off me and there's 15 of them. So, and I personally deliver them or ship it to them, which is insane because in reality, like some people wouldn't want to do that, but I actually want to do the one-on-one because I get to also feed my relationships with my partners. And it's also on a personal level because then I'm like, hey, how are you doing? How are your kids doing? Like, it's not just that you're a number, it's that you actually are a part of the tribe and the community.
I like that. All right, we have to pay some bills and share a commercial, but when we are back, I'm going to ask Kim about where she gets her inspiration for her flavors. And does your daughter give you any inspiration? So think about that. We'll be right back.
I'm Gary.
And I'm Gina.
And we're the hosts on Fire and Light Talk. So join us every Thursday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Positive vibrations right here on E360 TV.
right, and we're back with Kim Prada-Gonzalez, and we are talking about her wonderful Tribe Power Bites, being an entrepreneur and a single mother. Now, I gotta know about your flavors. Like, I like some of them. I unfortunately cannot have peanut butter anymore because of my mast cell, because it has way too much histamine in it. So, unfortunately, I cannot have it, which is very disappointing for me because that means I can't have some of your bites. But I want to know like your flavors, like where does the inspiration come? Because I love the dark chocolate one.
Okay, so my inspiration came from just random things that I like or that I would want to have in a healthier way, right? So we have our most popular, which is our white chocolate cinnamon roll one, and that is also like known as the white sin abbreviated. And that I'm someone who loves cinnamon rolls. So I was like, man, like I just and that I came up that's one of my first flavors because again, before I was just looking for healthier alternatives to what I already like the things that I did like. And if I could do that, because even then I would just eat like random things, like even cakes, like just like on the go things, wrap things, and my daughter's snacks, like I would eat those too. So that was an inspiration for that. Like I just wanted that, but also some of them are songs by artists that I like the dark fantasy one. There is a song and a whole album called Dark Fantasy from Kanye West, but it's an older Kanye West that I used to love back in that. So even when I think about dark fantasy, it takes me back to a time of like a time machine or something of a memory. And then I also have the OG, which is the first flavor, which was an M&M one. And I call it the OG because it's the original one that I had out of anything. It was my first flavor that I came up with and stuff. And it could be random things, random combinations. Like I have a white cherry delight one, which there is this bark bar like at Starbucks that it has white chocolate and cherry, and I was like, oh, I want something
Oh
else.
yeah.
I forgot what it's called, but it's like seasonal.
There's so many. It's like a yogurt bark thing. There's so many copycat recipes. People keep trying like copycat.
I've seen them, and I'm like, okay, so any little thing will inspire me. We have a cookies and dream one, which is kind of fun, you know, cookies and cream, but cookies and dream because that one has Oreos in it. I have a Glen Coco one, which kind of remind me of the movie Mean Girls. I don't know if you've seen that, like the original one. And he used to say that.
I'm not that old. I've seen Mean Girls.
No, there's another one, a part two, which it did not actually like own up to. It just didn't match up to the original one. Sometimes I don't think remakes should be made, like second parts.
You just made a new one too that just came out in the theaters.
Yeah, and there was another one before that too, and I was just like, I like the original one. Like anything OG, I love. Sometimes remakes are cool, but I don't think everything should be like modernized. And so with the flavors that, I mean, my daughter too, she sometimes like will tell me, hey, like, can you add this? So there's a few things that I used to have 16 flavors. Now I shortened it. Now I have 8, but there is one flavor that people keep asking to return, which was a banana bread one. Banana bread.
Oh.
And that one, I love that one. And my daughter loves that one. She's like, when are you going to make it? So I make it for us at home, but the process is longer. But since I've been hearing it more frequently, I think that I might like just keep it on the menu because I had made extra ones like for me and my daughter. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just share some with like my partners and see if anyone likes them and stuff because I haven't made that one since maybe 2022, 2021, like around that time frame and stuff before I got more busy. And so I might bring some older flavors, older combinations. I might bring back this other oatmeal raisin one that I used to have too and stuff. But you know, so I would say my everyday life is like inspirational for flavors. Anything random I want to do.
Like, do you have seasonal flavors too? Which I know there were a few for Valentine's Day. You had some strawberry and something, right?
Yeah. So I do seasonal ones. So I keep it like fun like that because it's fun for me because it's not as repetitive and it's it keeps people on their toes because they're like, wait, I want to order this and stuff. So the seasonal ones for the summertime, I do a s'mores one like every year, but sometimes I will do a second flavor like I did a pina colada one last year, which was really good. That one actually had cashew butter instead of peanut butter. So I do like any nut butter base, but that had cashew butter, which was great. And it had dried pineapple in it, which is really good. But then for the winter time, or no, for the fall time, we do a pumpkin spice one or a caramel apple one. And then in the winter, we do peppermint mocha, which everybody loves that one. And then for February, I wanted to keep it like light because it's still winter time, but I wanted to switch it out for the strawberries and cream one because that one is super popular. And I think it's because it looks fun because they're pink, but it's freeze dried strawberry, so it's really cool to have that. And but now in the springtime, we did have a blood orange one last year, but I think I'm gonna swap it out for a different one because I've had this idea to wanting to do this specific flavor for a while, but I didn't perfect the recipe, but now I did because I've been taking out time to doing it, and now I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty good. So I'm excited for that one coming up as well too. So seasonal is fun. It just keeps everybody on their toes, and yeah.
I have an idea I think I'll share with you after about what I think you can make.
Okay, tell me. Yeah.
I'll tell you after. I won't tell you on air because that way if it works out, you can share it with everybody. Be like, Ashley inspired me on this.
Yeah.
So all the events you have coming up, like your schedule is full all the time. Do you do private things? Do you do public things? Like other than the partnerships, like what is your favorite thing to do, and how do people like figure out how to contact you other than the website?
Okay, so I have this thing called a tribe tour, right? Because I came up with that name too because I was doing a lot of events per month, per week. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm on tour or something. I feel like I'm an artist or whatever. So I just named it Tribe Tour and stuff. And so I do pop-up events as in
you
farmers.
Finish this every week if you wait. I'm going to see if you can see it.
Oh yeah, it looks like that. So every week I release the weekly lineup, which is that which it shows where you can find me within the partnerships. Also where you can meet up with me, like to connect with me in person through the pop-up events, and then also the website. So we have 3 different streams. You can either order online, get them shipped or delivered to your house. You can grab them from a partnership, which we have 15 within the Western.
Oh, I think we lost Kim for a second there. Just give it a second, people. Oh, there we go. We lost you for a second.
No. What was the last thing you heard?
15 something, and that's all you cut out for a second.
That's okay. So we do have 15 partnerships, as in you can find our bites at other small businesses because I only partner with wholesaling with small businesses. I have not done the chains like Big Y or anything like that, but I do it through small businesses to support another one. We have that in Northern Connecticut and in Western Mass. And then for the whole month, I do come up with the Tribe Tour schedule. That's always posted with what Ashley showed you, but also on our website. And it shows all of the events that I have for that month. And usually it is within other small businesses like coffee shops. A lot of them are in Western Mass because that's where I'm from. And I connect with a lot of people there, but also farmers market. So farmers market season is coming up for spring and summer. It is in the winter. I am in a part of the Chicopee one in the wintertime, but it's way more busier in the springtime, meaning I do 4 different ones. Like I'll do the Westfield one, I'll do the Chicopee, the Springfield, different ones. And that's where people can also find me. My favorite thing though, anything in person, that is my favorite thing, even though it could be like tiring sometimes, especially if it's like on a school night or a school day or something, because I do bring my daughter with me sometimes, or if it's on the weekends, usually that's kind of our time to like spend together. And I'm like, oh, well, you can just come to work with me and stuff because she actually enjoys it. So I guess that's quality time too. But those are my favorite things, like any in-person event, because I get to see who has been purchasing from me and also kind of introduce myself, my story. They get to see my daughter because for the longest time, you're going to probably laugh, but the longest time, some people didn't know that it was me who like made the bites or like that was my business. And I solved the problem, but then it came back because before I used to not post my face on my business. It was just like the bites and they weren't sure who was like making these. And then I fixed that. I was like, okay, I'm going to add more content of like pictures of me, pictures of my daughter. And then recently, people still didn't know. Like some person was like, oh, I didn't even know it was like you that made these bites. And I was like, yeah, it's me. Like I've been doing it for 4 years. So I just like to clear things like that too in person. Like any questions that anyone has about the product, I get to say it to them. But yeah, that's my favorite. Definitely in-person events.
Yeah, it's really funny that, like, for the longest time, I always thought owning a food business meant that I didn't have to be in front of the camera. I thought maybe I'd have to have, like, a little photo on my website where, like, the About Me page was or something. I never thought I'd have to show my face on camera. And look what I do now. I have to share it all over social media. And then I realized the biggest response I've ever gotten is when I post pictures of me. Not necessarily food. When I post pictures and food. Go figure. They want to see the people in the face of the stuff that they're making and who's doing it, which I find interesting. I'm like, I never thought I was that interesting, but apparently to other people I am.
I felt the same way. Like I can see if it like correlates with like my daughter because it's fun, right, and stuff. But with me, I was like, why does anyone need to see my face if they're just consuming my product? But I think that again, as human nature and like biologically, just the connecting the face to the product. Go like this person makes it, like I trust them, kind of like a trust thing, maybe. I don't know, but at least for me now, I understand like. Oh, I love and reading stories. Like I just love to see other people's stories and seeing what they look like because in my mind, I kind of try to picture what they look like, but it kind of fails. So I guess.
Now, being able to take your daughter with you everywhere must be helpful. I mean, it's school vacation this month, and everyone's there's kids everywhere. I did errands the other day, and there's children everywhere. So parents are trying to get stuff done with their kids and work and do things. So it must make your life so much easier that you can just be like, all right, you're coming with me, or you can stay with grandma tonight.
Yeah, it is. I love that, though. I love that I get to have the opportunity because most parents don't. Like, the majority of the people work 9 to 5. And sometimes, like, it makes me feel even more humble and grateful for taking a risk because with risk, there is, like, reward and I get to be with her in different like times of her life. She gets to be with me. She gets to be a part of like the whole movement of the Bites and tribe and stuff. And I think that is also going to really sharpen our relationship as a mother and daughter because for me personally, I didn't have the greatest relationship growing up with my mom, mainly because I was like, oh, she's not really around. I felt like my sister was my mom because she took care of me the most. But then as I got older, I always tell my mom, like, humbly, I'm like, Mom, thank you so much. Like, I love you so much because you really sacrificed so much. Because she told me, hey, it's not that I didn't want to be around because she would be around. But by the end of the day, she's tired and she has 4 kids to feed. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And now it's like, wow, I'm so grateful that I get to have a business that can also let me live life on my terms with my daughter.
So you have 3 other siblings. So
Yeah.
What do they do or what do they think about what you do? Do they help out when they can?
So my siblings are scattered. So
Okay.
I have 2 in Connecticut, and then my sister, she just moved to Texas,
Oh, wow.
which is a whole different thing. But she's doing her thing. Like she doesn't have kids, but my other siblings, they have kids. But they don't help, but they're definitely supportive in a sense of they'll buy bites from me, and they're like, hey, can you just bring it to me? So they're supportive in that way. But my sister, when she lived here, which I was kind of sad when she left because she actually used to watch my daughter if my mom couldn't. So I was like, no, you're leaving. And now that she left, Nia has been with me more frequently and with my mom sometimes too. But as for my siblings, they all work corporate jobs. All of my siblings. So my sister works in health insurance. My oldest brother, I believe he also works. He works within like the criminal justice field. And then my middle brother, I don't know what he's doing right now. Actually, like that's like the one that I need to catch up the most with because I don't know.
I don't really know what he does.
I will say because he switches like occupations a lot because he just always like wants to feel, I think that's like the middle child thing, but he just always wants to feel some sort of like fire in his job feels. But he is great at working his work. Oh, actually, I know what he does. He's like a truck driver. He's definitely a truck driver. But he has been switching different truck driving jobs, positions and stuff. But yeah, like we ended up all just being successful, I guess. They are proud of me. They were actually proud of me back then, even in 2020, because they were like, "You're gonna do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And I'm the youngest, so it's like kind of surprising to them, I guess, because I get to like live life on my terms, and I get to like go on road trips if I want to. I get to bring work with me if I want to. I get to restock everybody and then be free for the day, but they don't. And they're like, "Oh man," like my sister works remotely too, and she's like, "Oh, I just want to go out today and I can't have to stay till 8." And I'm like, "What? That's crazy." But, I think that their support shows when they're also giving back, or if they're also sharing like my business posts on social media. And when they say comments like, "I'm so proud of my little sister" and stuff, because for the longest time, they knew what they wanted to do. They were doing their own thing. And it was just always me, like, I don't know what to do with my life. I have no idea what to do. But yeah.
That's sweet that they are supportive of you. That's great. It sounds like you have a good support system in your family and for your daughter. I'm sorry she's missing her aunt. I mean, Texas, my goodness. Well, at least I hope she's getting better weather than we are today.
Way better. She brags about it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend in Austin, and she always has way better weather than we do. And it is just so interesting that like you took a path that's different from your family. But did they all think you were going crazy at first? Like your siblings going like, "Are you sure this is what you want to do? Like you have a daughter, like are you sure this is the path for you?" Or were they just like, "All right, go with God and hope it goes well," kind of thing?
I think that my siblings were more of like the leniency, like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." They were really supportive, like, "Hey, that's cool, like you should try it out." But I will say my mom, that was like the most, like even though she actually implanted the idea in me, that was the most like convincing or hardest person to convince that I could do this, because she was saying that like, "Hey, you have a whole daughter, you need more security, like you're not making enough money." Because in the beginning, but then also too, what is enough money? Like, how do you know if I'm making enough money? And I would say that like, "Hey, me and
Right.
we're good, we're covered, like everything's good." But it's kind of like any parent would want to see their kid do more, right? Or strive for more. And she was just worried that I wasn't gonna make enough to provide on my own, even though, and I would remind her, "Hey mom, you provided for us and you had 4." Even though it wasn't the most lavish lifestyle, she still did it, and I turned out great. I'm fine. And if I didn't go through those things, I wouldn't be who I am right now, because that also instilled the grit that I needed as an adult. And so she was the one that I also had to like convince. And I'm like, "Mom, you're the one who told me that I should do it." She's like, "Yeah, but I thought you were just going to do this on the side, not like a full-time thing." And I was just like, "Yeah." She's like, "I thought it was just going to be for 2020. I was like, "No, Mom, like, what did you think was going to happen?" But she has came around for a couple years now. She's seen how much love and support that I've received from the community. And she also sees that I'm happy, because before I had Mia and before I was doing the business, I was miserable at my jobs. Like I was always like calling her, crying, like, "Mom, I don't know what to do." And she'll just be like, "Oh, okay, well, either leave the job or go to college." Like she just always would say that. And I'm like, okay. So now that she sees I'm the healthiest, I'm thriving, I'm the happiest, there's no way that she wouldn't support that. So she definitely has been a huge support. Now she came around.
So here's my question. Everyone defines success as something different. Like, what do you define success for you? Like, what would be the ultimate success? Like, are you successful now to your standards, or are you successful when you get to a certain point?
That is such a great question. So I think that's a great question, because my outlook on success changed within the last probably 6 months. So I used to define success like any other person with how much money you're making, right? Or how not lavish your lifestyle is, but how comfortable you could be like having a lifestyle and also spending, right? Now that I'm like on this journey, I've changed my outlook with success as I truly just want to be happy. And I really just want to live life on my terms. And living life on your terms, for me at least, means that you get to do what you want when you want. And I think people who are striving to be successful financially, they can't do life on their own terms whenever they want because they have to keep up with making money for that lifestyle. And at least for me, I now define success as just doing what you want and not caring what other people think, because for me at least now I'm kind of just working to make memories with my daughter, to have like life experiences, all my, as long as like my bills are paid, there's food, like everything, the necessities are there. I just think that that's successful for me at least. And I used to always want more and more and more, but the more that I got, the more empty I actually felt, which is insane because I actually make less now financially than I did before, but I'm happier because before I would miss a lot of time with my daughter. My household was like a mess. It was just like everything was crazy, but the finances were there because I was doing so many events and stuff. And I've cut back a lot. And I've had people say, hey, where have you been? Like, I don't see you at this networking event. I don't see you at this market anymore. And it's because like one, my daughter started kindergarten, right? And I was like, you know what, this is actually the time where I don't want to miss anything. I want to be as present as possible. And even my relationship with her has grown significantly. Like we're way more closer than before. Before it was basically like my mom watching her, raising her, right? And I was like, you know what, something has to change because I don't want to feel this way anymore. And since then, I think I have the most success right now that I decided like I'm gonna live life for me and no one else, and not really care if I'm like not in the limelight, as long as I'm doing what really matters to me. And at least for me, I'm in a point where family really means everything, even if it's just me and my daughter. Like that relationship is irreplaceable. Like money can't buy that for me. And you know, if that doesn't align with what everyone is doing, then I'm okay with that.
I like that. I mean, I guess success has to be whatever you feel inside is successful. I mean, I don't think having $1 million in the bank or this or that. I mean, yes, it would be nice. Everybody wants $1 million in the bank or more. But it also has to be about a quality of life that you live. And
Yeah.
if your life isn't a quality and you're rushing around all the time and you're not enjoying it or not finding time to be with the ones you love or your friends or doing anything fun for your life, how is that successful?
Yeah, I think success really means like being present. If you're present within this life, because we're not going to be here forever, then I think that you have true success with life if you're present. And I've gained that. It's been fulfilling for me just being present. And just like what you said right now, like when I would run around and go from here to here to here, I was there, like physically I was present, but mentally I was not. Actually, my mental state was just not great. And I would always be thinking about my daughter or like I'm missing out on this. And I couldn't be fully present in that moment. And I look back on that and a lot of those times, and yeah, physically I was there, like people saw my face and stuff, but spiritually I wasn't there, mentally I wasn't there. And I don't think that that's really what success is about. I think success is about being present and enjoying and grasping like the moment.
Would you ever hire someone to go to some of the events for you so you didn't have to go to all of them?
Yeah, so I think that's another thing that had happened. I over the summer I had hired two people and it did not end well at all. Actually, like sometimes they just wouldn't show up and not like say anything, and then I would have to run from one event to another event because they didn't show up. And I think that, you know, in the future potentially I would hire someone, but I think that I'm going to be way more selective with hiring because of that, you know. And you can't guarantee anything. Like you don't know when someone's gonna betray you or like leave you hanging. But I think during that time, I was escalating so much that I was like, you know what, like I'm going to just say yes to the next two people or whatever. And like a lot of people actually inquired about it, but it was mostly word to mouth. Like I had hired two people from like someone that my friend recommended, right? And now I don't want to do like the recommendations. I just want to see it for myself, right? And even though I had interviewed them and everything, it's just like now I'm going to just be more strategic because at the time I think my mental state was just like focused on making money, right? And I think that when your mental state is not aligned with your purpose, then things are not going to work out in your favor. And I think that's probably why. So now that my mindset is aligned to my core values and I'm really firm on that, now I think that it would be a great time to hire somebody. I did have my bookkeeper and my content person. She's my best friend. She actually ended up moving to Arizona, and she started her family there. So she was my backbone for like posting and everything. And now I've learned so much from her that I've been doing it on my own. But she was someone that I heard that she was like a solid person. And even though, and it's crazy because people were like, oh, like, you sure you want to get in business with your friend? And I was like, yes, like our relationship has grown so much that it has to, and we've been friends since high school. So when you have also like that amount of history and you know someone, and that's kind of like even with personal relationships, then you can trust them. And I think that next time when I do hire somebody, it has like the trust has to be there because I don't want to like clean up any messes and like stress and run from here to there. I really just want like a solid tribe within my tribe. I have a nice tribe outside of tribe, but I really want like a nice solid one with tribe.
Well, let's look at it this way. You learned a business lesson. We've all been there. We've all learned about hiring the first time around, and it did not go very well the first time I tried to hire an assistant. It didn't end well either. I thought I understood what I hired. I did not. It didn't go well. I learned my lesson. Actually, I've learned my lesson twice too.
Okay, so maybe I may have to go through it again the second time.
Well, everyone puts their best foot forward when they get interviewed, and unless you can really know the person or how they operate, it's kind of like trial and error.
Right. I agree.
And sometimes people are just not a good fit altogether. It doesn't mean they're bad at what they do. They're just not good for you.
No, I agree.
Now, I like to tell people to give our audience some parting thoughts. You have about 60 seconds or so to say whatever you want, share what you want. It can be on being a mama, it can be on working, it can just be your thoughts on anything you want. But whatever your parting thoughts are to our audience today.
Okay, I would say, the first thing that came up was motherhood or parenthood. There's no handbook for parenthood because sometimes I beat myself up so bad. And again, on the outside, people are like, you're such a good mom. And I'm like, what? Like, so there's no handbook for parenthood. If you're doing your best, you're doing your best, and your kid will see that eventually. Because I grew up and I saw it, and I used to tell my mom, no, like, you don't know what you're talking about. She's like, you'll see when you're older. I'm older now, and I know what she's talking about. As opposed to business, there's no perfect start. So just start, just do it. Nike, obviously, but truly just do it. I did it in the hardest of times, and look at where I'm at now. And it was not a perfect start. Nothing's going to be perfect. So if you have a thought, an idea, a business idea, just do it. It's going to be messy, or it's going to look messy at first, but in the long run, it's going to be beautiful. Because fun fact, I started my bites in Ziploc bags in 2020, which is so crazy. Not embarrassing anymore, but now it has a better packaging, but everybody still like supported me. So just start and do whatever it is that you want to do.
Kim, thank you so much for being our guest and sharing your story with our audience. Everyone, I am so happy that you've joined us this week on Food for Life. As always, you can tune in at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on E360 TV. And if you want more info on Food for Life, you can follow us on IG. Or if you don't want to miss a minute and you can't watch live, make sure you subscribe to our Food for Life YouTube channel. please, I'm going to try to get some shorts up. I'm working on it. Now that I'm by myself, I'm working on it more. I will share some more behind the scenes content, and I will see you all next week. I hope you have a good week. I hope you're enjoying your food, and everyone stay healthy and be well.